Okay, hey everybody. Some technical problems on my side. I have to confirm the start of the recording, but hey, we're streaming now. All right, so hi everyone. Scott with Maximum Apocalypse RPG. Joined here with a couple of players. We're playing at a short adventure. I call them the mini sessions. They're basically little 1 to 2 hour long sessions where we play test a particular set of things, or we do like a little story building for the characters, just give them a chance to play out some of their skills that maybe they don't normally use during the regular game sessions or campaigns. And today we're doing what's called the Interrogation, where we're going to be playing out the social rules that have now been completed and finished for the Game Master Guide. So we're going to see how they work out when we actually try them in front of all of you. So here we're joined with my players. We'll start with, so the way that from my side it looks, I've got, from my corner here, I've got Joseph, Carrie Ann, and David. We're going to go in sort of that order: Joseph, Carrie Ann, David.
Oh, hello everybody. I'm Joe. Today I am once again playing Dingane, the Ronin Zulu warrior. Survived a robot uprising. So here he is to try and ply his social charm-ish in some interrogating.
Hi, I'm Carrie Ann, and once again, I'm playing Charlie. She's a medic that doesn't have the greatest of bedside manners, but we'll see how this goes.
And David?
My name is David, and I will be... I suppose I'm playing Jesus Dominguez, who is a military scientist that was part of the initial program to find out what zombies were.
Or maybe, part of the initial program that released the Z virus.
Ooh.
I still haven't written up his background.
I'm just kidding. No, I've been reading The Stand by Stephen King, and that's basically the entire premise, is that the virus that kills off the entire world was a flu virus that had been manipulated by the U.S. government. So, that's what I thought of when you said that.
Great book.
Long book. Holy crap. I have the
and then he added 600 pages.
Right, I was gonna say, I have the new the version with the 600 additional pages, and it's like,
oh wow.
Yeah, it's like 2 stands put together. It's a grandstand.
Right? It could have been a second. I don't know. I guess he didn't want to make a sequel because they're part of the original story. So whatever. At least that's what it said in the introduction to the long version. All right, so Stephen King aside, let's begin. So it's been a week since some of you returned from a nice adventure trying to find T-shirts in a warehouse. Specifically, I don't think Charlie and Chewie were not there, but Dingane was. And Dingane has a bit of a story to tell about that, but you'll have heard about that before this adventure, so he's not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it now. But otherwise, you can go back and watch the adventure for those at home and find out all of the craziness that happened to Dingane, and how the fact that he's even sitting here right now is kind of like, whoa.
It was kind of amazing. I'm surprised he walked away.
But anyway, a week has passed since camp and crew have returned, and in that time there's been some chaos and disorder a little bit. There's not a lot of food. In fact, there is no food. It's been completely consumed, and they haven't been able to find any more. No one's entirely sure why. People have even begun doing the thing where they're trying to reopen the caves, those cave tunnels that were found a couple weeks back, about a month now, I think.
The ones we deliberately caved in.
Yeah, those ones.
They're so hungry that that they think that they can get back in there and find other foodstuffs that have been, taken over the years. Joseph apparently has to go take care of something, which is totally fine. We're fine. We understand life. Oh, it's lights. Oh, lights are a thing too. As we discovered when I was dark faced, going what is happening right now? Anyway, so people have been debating on trying to open those up. Some people have even tried, and other people have, of course, pulled guns on them. That sort of thing. It's been some intense chaos. Well, in that time, something happened. there was a bit of a weird occurrence. Some information was sort of shared or back and forth, and people are not entirely sure what happened. But anyway, the council convened. They had a secret council meeting in which it was just, the founders and the second founders, essentially. And while you might have been curious to know what happened, you don't get to know about it for the moment. However, this it's really just, you didn't know about it at first because I'm about to tell you what happened. So you get called in by some people. Like, some people talk around. There's some words. There's some hush-hushity hush-hush. And eventually you three are invited to come to Building B to talk with the founders. For some reason, they want to talk to you guys. And when you get there, you find that the founders are there. Peter and Liza and Gunny are there, right? The founders, the remaining founders anyway. And then Kemp, Nate, Jake, and Kate are all there. So you have the 7 of them, the people that are essentially in charge of this place. Despite the fact that, in theory, you all have a say, democracy, and whatnots, these are really the 7 decision makers. And then everyone else has some voting power. But you guys get brought in, and they ask you to come in and sit down. Give you guys some opportunity to roleplay a little bit before I move forward. What do you guys want to say or do?
Yeah, Dingane makes his way in, kind of leaning a little heavier on his spear than normal. Arm is all bound up, slung and casted. Nice big heavy wrap across his ribs. Looks pretty good for all things considered. And he comes in and very politely kind of gives a nice dip of his head at the 7 seated up there, and quietly takes a seat and waits patiently.
I just quietly and quickly rush in like I was just doing something, since I work in Building B. So it's basically, okay, I'm here. And then I sit down.
Yeah, you're in the cafeteria now.
Yeah.
Which may have been where you were before.
Charlie, they have
Chewie
clothes
will
you in
walk
too.
Chewie will walk in and he'll just he'll stand next to the chair and parade rest.
Okay.
Do you know what is going on? Do you know why we have been called?
No clue, but I'm sure, well, I hope we're about to find out.
You may be wondering why we called you here, Nate says. Taking his prompt at that moment in time. There have been some things going on in the family, as you may know. Compound is not as safe as we thought it was a couple months ago. We found that there are monsters living in the woods around us, monsters living in the ground beneath us, and monsters apparently living among us, which brings us to this. Jake steps forward, and he's that big hulking guy. He says, "We suspected that maybe there were some people who weren't necessarily all too into the idea of the family anymore, especially with everything going on. So we thought it was a bit strange that these tunnel people had been able to get in, find stuff, and leave unseen by anyone. It's a bit of a weird conundrum for us. So we kept an eye out, Nate and I. When Camp came back, we pulled him in. He pulled in Parks. And sure enough, someone has been broadcasting from our roof of this building. Now, we don't know how many are involved, but we do know one of them. We kept watch on it, and someone came up to use the radio, and we captured them. We have them downstairs in the interrogation room that we're calling it. This room where we had that humped monstrosity before. We think that there's something going on, that there's some group. And so we decided to turn over to Kate. And Kate just leans back in her chair and says, yeah, apparently they think that I'm good at pulling out fingernails and making people talk. Look, I can make people talk, but I'm just not that kind of person. But from what I understand, You three are pretty good at that sort of thing. Not necessarily pulling out fingernails, but making people talk. And that's what we've been told.
I have seen some terrible things back home before the robots came. I may not have liked them, but I will do what I can from what I have seen then to help us here.
Yeah, I'm happy to do what I can.
The family comes first.
I barely passed interrogation in Fort Huachuca, but have we interrogated the radio yet? There may be clues in it. Do we see what type of frequencies it's set to?
No. Well, maybe Parks has the radio right now.
There may be some serious clues on that, whether it's maybe an alien frequency or whether it's trying to connect to a human or...
Good point. We should look into that. Nate says, yeah, I'll get on it. He starts to leave. Carrion, wasn't Charlie part of the original interrogation of the hunched man?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's why you're here.
Yeah.
I was trying to think, I was like, wait, wasn't Charlie part of that first time? That explains it. She's experienced. Okay, so...
I have my handcuffs.
Okay, great. So we have a person who barely passed interrogation. Oh, sorry, I'm Kate again. So we have a person who barely passed interrogation, a person who has successfully interrogated somebody before, and a man we know that can break people's fingers if needed. I think we have a good team here. I think we can do this. Obviously, I will observe and see if we can, if I can notice any tells or anything along the way. We have one radio, and Camp steps forward with his little earpiece. It looks like it's been taped together with a bunch of random parts. Like, it doesn't look like the classical earpiece you'd see. It's more like a series of things that have been sort of spliced and taped together, and maybe a little hot glue here and there. But it's an earpiece that does seem to have a radio antenna that you can tuck inside your shirt or something. And then we'll maintain contact with you as we do this. We decided to leave the psychics out of it this time around. So, no psychic circle.
Okay.
Just because we don't know who we can trust.
So, who is it that we'll be interrogating?
This is the sad part. It's Paul Spartacus. And you guys go, who the hell's Paul Spartacus?
Yeah.
None of you have been at the family for long enough to know who the hell Paul Spartacus is. He isn't one of the 7, clearly, because he would be sitting in this room. Maybe he was. Who knows? No, but Paul Spartacus is actually someone that none of you know. So Kate explains a little bit, just very briefly. Paul is one of the people that came a little bit after Parks. He's been around for a very long time, and he has been one of the primary people that Gunny has worked with on maintaining the wall. Essentially, he would be the second go-to person for stuff happening as far as defenses of the family. But he stays kind of in the background. And now we discovered that that's because he was up to something else.
So we recognize his face.
Yeah, oh yeah. As soon as you walk in the room down there, you'll immediately go, oh, that guy, yeah.
Yeah, just the, in unison.
Right, that guy. The guy who seems to think a broadsword is fine.
So, thought, before we interrogate him, let's talk to people he knows. Let's get any information, something we can use, something that'll surprise him that we know that'll throw him off.
That is a good idea.
That seems reasonable.
It is.
I may have passed it low at the class, but I passed.
Okay.
But with him being here as long as he has been, we kind of need to narrow down that scope because he knows most of the people in the family.
Who was he the closest with?
That's a good question. I mean, aside from us, and Parks,
Maybe
I'm not
speak with
sure.
Parks if they work together on the wall.
Well, it
And
was Gunny that he worked with on the wall.
What
It
changed?
was Gunny.
Yeah.
What changed? Did someone in his family die? Did he feel betrayed?
We don't know. We have no idea.
But
That's where you come in. He's not talking to
things
us.
do we have seen that might have affected him? Did he act differently after the attack?
Yeah, but so did a lot of people.
Understandably so. We were pretty shaken.
Do we have access to his stuff? Just
Yes.
to look at.
Yeah,
see
yeah.
what
He lived in the tents. Even though he was offered to live here, he did live in Building B for a while. And we think that when he moved out to the tents a couple of years ago, but we think that it was because he used to live here that he was able to get to the roof without anyone noticing. Like he knew of a stairwell that people didn't know about, etc.
do we know why he left?
No, he just he said he got tired of his neighbors. There were families on either side that had kids.
That is definitely strange.
Yeah. Shall we go check out his tent then?
We definitely can. I'm
Yeah,
sure I know the
look-
way. I live down there.
I haven't decided, but I think Chewy's in the tents too.
Okay.
Yeah, Dingane stands up to his full 6'7" height. Okay. Shall we on then?
Let's.
6'7" is quite tall, by the way.
He's very big build.
Yeah. No, I mean I met a man who was like 6'9", and I was like,
Oh yeah, very, very, very big.
"You're tall."
You're
Right.
like a foot and a half taller than Charlie is, so she's just like,
Right? He's got his own weather system up here.
Okay, so a foot and a half, man. That's quite a bit of distance.
great.
Okay, yeah, you guys can go check out his tent. You go in. It's okay. There's not a lot in there. It's not super well organized. It has the same kinds of things you'd expect. Some things that you'd expect a bachelor to have, it doesn't have. Like there are no like random pinup calendar pictures, just on a bench or something. It's just kind of like just this room. Just has like a cot and a blanket, some tools for working on weapons, but no journals or books
Family
or
pictures?
calendars. No, that's what I mean. That you expect there to be something like that, and you don't see anything like that.
So it's really sparse in here.
Mm-hmm.
It does not look like he lived here.
Anyone's tent.
Are there sleeping bags, pillows, clothes indicate that he did live here?
Yeah. So there's a blanket on the cot. Some clothes in a bag. One of the new T-shirts that camp brought back. There was somebody that lived here, and I mean, it could have been somebody else. You could be in the wrong tent, but everyone's telling you that this is Paul's tent. So
One cot.
one cot.
I like look under the cot and stuff like that. Like, really? There's nothing here?
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually walk right next door to the next tent over, and call out, hello, my friends. See if anyone's home.
Yeah.
Tent flap.
Someone should be home. Hold on, let me try to pull up something that I know because I didn't make an NPC for this particular interaction.
Oh.
So I try to throw one
Yeah.
together on the fly.
I figure with that, being a fellow tenter, that
Oh yeah,
might
they'll
be,
totally talk to you. Yeah,
um,
that's why when you did that, I went, "Oh crap!" Yeah, they would talk to him. Like if it was any other people, like other non-tenties, they would be like, don't have to."
Like
talk to
if
you."
I tried to ask, they'd be like,
Yeah, no thanks.
yeah, you solid walls don't fit down here.
Exactly.
so I'm just hanging back because I know how the tent people tend to react, unless they're hurt.
Why am I? Oh, distinctions. There we are.
And thank you for the medical care.
Oh, of course. I was figuring that was part of the reason that she didn't go on the other thing that we're doing later. To look after you.
Okay, all right. So a lady comes out of the tent. She has unkempt clothing that is wrinkled. It's got, I mean, basically, it doesn't look like she even understands how to keep things clean. That's how bad it is. She's just very dirty and very unkempt. Her hair is just crazy wild. And apparently my document closed, but that's fine. I've got enough. But she's about 5 feet tall. She looks like she's probably 1,000 years old. But she, yeah. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do one thing.
Okay.
The two of you that live in the tents, why don't either of you, or both of you, whichever, just go ahead and roll luck for me. And tell me if you get a success or not.
8 out of 45.
No, 95 out of 50. I failed that.
Okay, Chewie, you do recognize this lady. You've talked with her before. You've had some soup. She's an old lady named that everyone calls Grandmama, because that's what her grandkids used to call her. They are dead, her grandkids. They're not alive in this apocalypse, but you recognize her.
Abuelita.
She says, "Oh, hello."
Hello, my friend. And Dingane would actually get down on one knee, so it's a little more eye level for her.
And I'll introduce him.
Okay. Dingane. Well, that's a name. I think I've seen you here. I mean, tall, dark man. I think everyone has seen you here.
I am hard to miss.
You stand up taller than 2 tents stacked on top of each other. So, yes. What can I do? Do you need some assistance? Do you need some food? Do you have some food? I would love some food.
I will see what I can do for you. I should have something in my tent I can get for you. But we actually have questions. The man who lived here, how well did you know him? Did he cause problems for you?
Paul? Yes.
Yes.
Paul was silent. He kept to himself, and I really only heard about him whenever we were attacked, and Paul was one of the people that would help. But and I think the last time I saw Paul was when we were attacked. He came out of his tent and killed some of those humped monstrosity mutant things that were trying to come at. The what? I'm sorry, what?
The mutants?
Yeah, those guys. He killed some of them with his sword, and then I don't know what happened after that. I just kind of went into my tent and tried to hide behind my explosive incendiary devices. Also, don't go into my tent.
Good thing. Did Paul have any friends?
I don't know. Did
He had
any of us
close
have
friends?
He would come home sometimes, and then he'd be home. Other times he would be gone. He spent a lot of time being gone. We never really interacted, Paul and I, so I don't know.
Ever tell you where he was going?
I mean, it's a pretty small place, so
Yeah.
I assume somewhere nearby.
Thank you. Was he gone during the daytime or the nighttime?
Both. Usually at night, though, now that you say that. That is weird. I didn't think of that. But yeah, it was mostly at night that he was gone. I just assumed he was guarding the wall a lot of the time. I didn't really think about what time he was actually gone. But yeah.
And it's hard to tell with no watcher.
Right. Well, I mean, the sun was down. That's all I knew. It's time to go to bed sometimes, and he was leaving.
For those of us who guarded the wall, will we have an idea? Oh, we saw him on the wall at this time, or did he?
Why don't you go ahead and roll luck for me again? Now that you're starting to figure out who this guy is, he's clearly somebody important.
72. No.
Sometimes, but everyone's schedule on the wall is so sporadic that I mean, you wouldn't necessarily cross paths with the same 2 people frequently enough to recognize when they're on the wall.
And is Gunny the one that handles the schedule for the wall?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Gunny and apparently the Spartacus guy that you're now finding out. So in theory, he had his own schedule that he made whenever he felt like it.
That's convenient.
So, Grandma. Oh, accent slip there. So, Grandma, did he have visitors? Did he have people that came over?
No, like I said, don't know if he had any friends. Never saw him talk to anyone.
Okay. You have been most kind. I do not have the time to get it for you now, but if you go straight down, take a left, take a right, past the ditch, you will find my tent. It is the big red one. I have a can of the fancy feast hidden underneath my pillow. You are more than welcome to it, my friend.
A fancy feast. That sounds fancy. So she starts waddling in old person style, with like having just her shuffling feet as she shuffles away from you guys to head toward the down by the stream, the red tent with the fancy feast under the pillow. Dingana eats cat food. Good to know. I mean, in post-apocalyptic land, food is food.
Right?
The end.
Yeah.
If it's edible, fair game.
Yep.
Sometimes even if it's not so edible.
If it'll sustain you for a bit, you know.
It's all calories.
That's true.
Hey, before we go, I wanted to sit down, lay down on his bed, close my eyes. What do I hear?
Oh. Okay, so as you lay on his bed, what you hear is you just hear the constant movement and rustling of people. It sort of sounds like a constant, like, just the sound of movement as people are walking by, as you hear some kids laughing in a tent 15 tents over, movement in feet. It's almost like a spot where the sound from the movements among the tents sort of echoes in and sort of comes in based on the geography around the tent. You just hear a lot of people, and it almost starts to blend into like a chittering cacophony.
Can I make out conversations?
Some of them.
I have Vigilant too. If that, I don't know if that would help. It just means I get to roll at an advantage. I don't know if that would help or not in this.
I mean, you can make out conversations. It's it's not going to benefit you too much. The conversations, none of them matter. If you want to know about how frequently someone's pooping, or like whether or not the thing the kid ate is going to come up the wrong way at some point. It's a lot of conversations about food, obviously. But on top of that, none of it's tremendously important. None of it sounds like anyone plotting anything. None of it sounds like it's crazy. Like there's not voices that are like, let's kill them all. You don't hear any of that kind of stuff. Right. Yeah. It's just kind of all just a mess of people around you talking naturally as they would talk. But they are just you're just hearing them just doing the stuff.
Two thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
One, they said that he left because of children.
Mm-hmm.
He's got children here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's
More
not
of them.
left. Two, if there were complaints, maybe he sat here. Maybe he heard them. Maybe these complaints were getting to him.
So is his tent like in the middle of the tents, or is it closer to other buildings or the wall?
It's in the middle on sort of one of the edges toward closer to the wall, but not necessarily like on the outskirts of the tent area. The tents are kind of spread out anyway. There's not really a confined space for tents, but his would be, there are tents to one side and a lot more tents to the other side. But it's kind of in the middle. It's away from the buildings, but not far, like not on the far end.
Okay.
I think with the butt of my spear, I want to poke around on the floor, or in the floor of his tent.
Mm-hmm.
See if there's any change in sound, or if it's just regular soil.
It just seems like soil. Just some dirt you kick up when you're doing that.
Okay. I had the idea of if there were tunnels, did he have a hidden one here somewhere?
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
Nothing.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's much else we can learn here.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. We can always come back if we have to. But yeah. We should probably go before we talk about anything else.
Yeah. Find some privacy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So where do you guys go? What do you want to? Do you want to go to the interrogation now, or do you want to go somewhere else?
Let's somewhere where the three of us can talk, make a plan first.
Okay. There's a number of places. You know that the library is frequently empty. That's the second floor of Building C, right above where Gunny would be in the inventory, of which he is keeping much tighter, iron fisty grip over these days. And then there's the computer room, tech room, server room thing upstairs of Building C. So basically, Building C is going to be your best bet. Building A is going to have a bunch of people roaming around, and Building B is basically cafeteria where people are eating. So Building C is going to be your best bet.
Yeah. Let's go to the library.
Library sounds good.
Because it will also at least contain your words, rather than, like, say, if you went outside the wall, people could still hear you.
Yeah.
That you just couldn't see them. Also, there's a werewolf floating around out there somewhere.
Oh, Steven got away?
Oh no, Steven's still inside the camp. His
okay.
His brother is still around
It's
somewhere.
Steven brother.
Right.
The other werewolf.
The other werewolf.
That one.
Yeah. So that's a thing. Yeah, let's go outside the wall and see what happens. Hopefully, don't get attacked by a werewolf. That's funny. Yeah, Steven. Anyway, all right, so you go to Building C. You find Gunny in the inventory. And initially, he's like, wait, what are you guys doing here? And then he realizes that it's you guys, and he's like, oh. All right, what can I help you with? I gotta get a new voice for Gunny. Oh, what can I help you with? No, I can't do it. I'll just do that voice. Everyone seems to. All the guys are like, I'm Jake. I'm Nate. I'm Gunny.
The apocalypse isn't good for, the vocal cords.
Yeah, too much dirt and sand and smoke. And I am very bad at imitating Arlie Emery. Anyway, yeah, what can I help you with?
We just say we need a place to plan our interrogation.
Okay. I haven't seen anyone go upstairs in a long, long time, so you're probably safe. Upstairs.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. That's how Gunny's gonna talk now. People at home are like, what the crap is this?
Character voice development. Just
Right in the middle of everyone. Just keep my mouth half closed like he's chewing on something.
All right, thank you, Gunny. And
Thank you.
Vagaman.
I go ducking through doorways.
Okay, yeah, so you duck through doors. You get to the library, it's empty. There's just books, like in the file cabinets, like it's some kind of library. But as we know, it's not really a library. However, there have apparently recently been some graphic novels. So there you go. It's growing.
Dingane would approve of those. They have pictures, and he cannot read. Unfortunately.
Okay. So, what do you guys want to do?
So I'm saying I'll be bad cop, Charlie be good cop, and Uganda will be the mountain. You'll be the threat.
Can do that.
okay. Did we want to talk to Gunny about the wall schedule?
Yeah, I mean,
Paul was
we're
making-
here. Might as well talk about it.
All right, so
I think also we gotta set some boundaries here. How far are we gonna go? And if it's going to be a bluff, if we're going to go past that as a bluff, that's fine. But the three of us need to know it's a bluff.
I may not necessarily be comfortable with doing too much to him, but for the sake of what we need to know and what he has done, I will go as far as we need to.
Okay. Are you willing to bluff?
I am willing to bluff. I am willing to bluff first before resulting to more. But at the same time, with what he has done, with all of the food that has been taken from all of these people in the family, that is a big crime. Even back home, stealing food from others is not looked upon very kindly.
I'm
Charlie,
also
you got the oath to do no harm.
well, sort of. I'm willing to go as far as we need to with the family, but I will tell you I'm not the best at bluffing, so if I say I'm going to do something, I'm probably actually going to do it.
Okay.
But I'm good cop, so it's okay.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. This should be our ace in the hole. If it gets to where we need to bluff, say you're leaving. That should scare the hell out of him.
Okay.
He just lost the doctor. He just lost the woman. He lost empathy. Now he's got to deal with 2 combat veterans. Even if that's a bluff, even if you do more damage to him than we would, that's got to psychologically affect him.
That is very wise.
Like I said, I may have been bottom of the class, but I passed. And I'll tell you, the first thing they teach you, everybody breaks. Everybody breaks somehow. We just got to find it.
You can always feel free to tell me that it might be time for me to leave, too, and I can just listen at the door or something.
Okay. Next thing. I know there's no such thing as a truth serum, but do we have something that we might be able to chemically help interrogation?
I don't think so. Closest I've got is isopropyl alcohol, and that's not exactly the kind of stuff you ingest. So.
What about the regular alcohol? There have been many times people have said things they wished not to when they were drunk.
I personally don't have any of that, but
I don't have any, but we might
we
be
might be
able
able to find some.
Also, I'm going to just throw something out, and we may have to change it or wing it. Silence is an incredible weapon. So if we stop talking, psychologically, he thinks he needs to fill it. Now, that he may not, but that's a tool that we can use.
That one I can do. I am not the best at digging for answers with words. I feel to start with, I will do very well with standing quietly to the side. I do not think I should sit. I think my size might help.
I think it's very helpful.
All right, so any other planning we want to do before we go check with Gunny and then most likely go chat with Paul?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
So heading back
We have a
downstairs.
good plan.
All right, you guys went far into the planning beyond what anything I thought of. I'm not thinking, ways to interrogate that don't involve social challenges. Interesting. Great.
It's still kind of a social challenge.
For sure is, but at the same time, like, those
like
are some
stepping
pretty good
outside of
ones.
the game.
What we have.
Right? Stepping outside of the game. If the guy is in interrogation, would he honestly start drinking anything if we handed it to him? I mean, there's like a lot of stuff outside of the game. That's very awesome, though. That's very awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool.
And truth, you know that part where I said about the interrogation school?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go there, but my sister did. And so I hit her up for a bunch of things for like story writing. It's just the guy's got a 25 charisma, so I figured if he passed it all, it was pretty low.
Yeah.
Do I have the highest charisma in this?
Probably.
It's 40.
I have a 35.
All right, there you go. You do have the highest. You're the interrogator. That's how it goes down.
Before we go to interrogate,
Mhm.
I need to go to my room and grab my handcuffs.
Okay. Yeah. I was like,
Also,
what? And then character. Your character needs to go handcuffs.
Yes.
Got it.
also, since we outnumber them,
Mhm.
I say leave the weapon unless we're going to use them to threaten him, like a spear or something.
Right.
Leave the weapons outside. We don't want to give him tools he can take.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently he's also a combat guy, as he was like guarding the wall all the time. So the last thing you want is to give him an opportunity to take a weapon that he can use against you, because he can probably do pretty well with it.
Yep. Yeah, spear and crowbar stay outside.
Yeah. If you guys would like to lock your stuff in my room, you're welcome to. But yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'll leave weapons in Charlie's room.
Yep.
But first to Gunny, because he's on the way.
Yep. We'll be going right past him.
All right. Is it all ready then? He's suddenly becoming the guy from Jaws. Have you seen a daughter's eyes? Have you seen a shark's eyes? Daughter's eyes. Ever seen a shark, Chief? Anyway, all right. So you guys come down, and there is there's your man. He's right there. It's Gunny. Yes, everything going together then?
Yeah, it's coming together nicely. We have a question or two for you, though, if you have a few seconds.
Sure.
So he was also helping out with, like, organizing the wall stuff, right? Did he make his own schedule for his patrol?
Yes, well, so do I. It's just kind of a thing we do.
Okay, so do you have any clue when he was actually on the wall, or was he just there when he felt like it?
Well, pulls out a clipboard with a bunch of sheets of paper, and he's like, let's see. He was last on the wall 3 nights ago at 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. Then he was on the wall. He flips the page over. Looks like he was last on the wall. Before that was a week ago when he was... And he goes off and just starts reading you his entire schedule. But moral of the story is it seems like he frequently goes to the wall at night, supposedly to cover when it's the weakest time. They need more people on the wall at night than they do during the daytime, because the daytime you can see farther. So one guy is a lot more effective at daytime than one guy at nighttime, right? So they try to increase the guards at night, but unfortunately people get sleepy, and so they have to. There's like a time frame when it's the hardest to get people to volunteer to cover the wall, and so there's a lot more chef working happening during that time, the alternative to the wall. And so Spartacus seems to be the guy, this Paul Spartacus guy is the guy that sort of filled a lot of those gaps whenever people just were unable to do it. But it also does seem like frequently it's in that time frame where he's maybe the only one on the wall for several hours.
Do we happen to know what parts of the wall he spent the most time in? Is there any way we could determine that?
No, it's sort of random. But there are some records that indicate that he was, on the various different walls. So he was on the northeast, because he was from north to, the north wall, kind of went to the east wall during the night, west wall, so forth. But it doesn't seem like he has a pattern of like one wall more frequently than another wall. However, as you sort of suggest that, Gunny starts realizing that the walls he was always on were the ones that had almost nobody, if he was not the only one there. So he was alone quite a bit, and seemingly by choice.
If you two wouldn't mind,
knowing the walls, were there places where another person might have been able to come across the wall?
You mean like up and over it? Yeah, so the way the walls are designed, when you get to the top of them, if you were to climb them from the outside, they're quite tall. But if you were to climb it from the top, you would end up in the sort of this walkway that they've created. So there's like a lip of about a foot of the rest of the wall, and then there's people standing there to be able to shoot over and like throw rocks over and have the spotlights. So a person could, if they could climb up, they would land on that catwalk and basically be like in a straight shot from the person who is also on the wall. But they may not, because they're so long, that doesn't mean that the person could get to them before they like jump over the other side and be inside the compound. That was one of the things that was the first thing people checked when the tunnel people started attacking, right? Because everyone was unsure as to how they got in. But the wall came down and you guys blew it up. So there's a part of the wall that's still kind of shaky. It's there now. They've thrown up some temporary stuff, but they haven't quite fixed it completely. So yes, a person could come up and over and down without anyone seeing them.
Okay.
Could they have something like a tryst? and not be seen?
Yeah. People in the camps get away with that sort of stuff all the time. Somehow somebody gets pregnant and no one has any idea that they were even together, with someone else, that kind of stuff. Random births happen all the time. There's no explanation for how or when those people even got together. No one heard it or saw anything. Obviously, the assumption is that people go outside the wall, but with the werewolf out there, it's not necessarily happening very frequently.
All right. Dingane kind of looks over and kind of quietly says, I mean, not trying to hide it from Gunny or anything, but says, could he possibly have been talking with somebody on the other side of the wall? Maybe with whoever helped come through the tunnels to steal everything from us. Maybe to help him set up the radio that he was using, the frequencies.
Well, I wouldn't want to think so, but based on the evidence that we have, I'm gonna have to say probably.
I'm not sure that he was linked with the mutants, but we can always ask about that.
Yeah, we can ask. Here's my thought. What little I've heard about the mutants there, I'm not sure that they were capable of operating a radio. Plus, he seemed to have fought them off.
Mm-hmm.
There's enough enemies out there. I mean, but that's something we definitely could use. We can definitely use, because if he really did fight against the mutants, he may react and let something slip if we accuse him of working with them.
That is good.
All right, and the information that Gunny gave us that kind of corroborates what Grandmama told us. Basically, most nights he's out and probably on the wall.
Yep.
Okay.
Sort of her assumption. It does seem like he's frequently on the wall, but there's also, like I said, he always seems to be on walls when he's alone. So
right.
He could be napping for all they know, but at least he's on the schedule. Just more than some people. None of you guys. Apparently, you guys are all pulling your weight around here. Some of those other guys, though. There's some people that basically live in the kitchens. That's all Gunny's trying to get at. Not that there's much to do in the kitchens anymore. There's not a whole lot of food these days.
Right.
So.
Well, thank you for your time, Gunny. I think that's all we needed.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
We might need it.
Question that may fall into anyone's mind is, who was guarding all the stuff when Gunny was gone? Because he's very clearly like, I sleep here, I live here, I breathe here, I will urinate in a cup if I have to. So that's
a good strong lock.
That's a mystery for another day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hopefully someone trusted. But anyway, so you guys, all you know so far is that you can trust each other. You can trust Gunny and the others. And Grandmama apparently was totally upfront with you, mostly because she's friendly with you and you guys were camp people. And you offered her
Charlie was one of the first people Dingane met before coming, or as he came to the family.
Yep.
So yeah.
Got thrown in that damn arena.
Cool. So there we go. So you guys know some things about him.
I think we're ready.
Yep.
Cool. You get led down into the basement of Building B. It's part of the tunnels. It's just a room that was probably some kind of storage utility room that last time they had to pull a bunch of stuff out of to throw the mutant dude in, and now you're back down there. It's the same sparse room that has just kind of like cement walls and floor. There's still garbage on the floor. There's a single chair which he is tied to, but they're ropes. And
real quick before we go in, I want to take the sling off. I mean, okay. Yeah, the arm is still casted, but take the sling off and put on a shirt that maybe is a little, if it can be found, a little baggier to hide the tight wrappings around his ribs.
Shirt. Why don't you go ahead and roll luck at advantage? It's going to be luck to see if they have one that's big enough, but it's advantage because Camp just came back with a bunch of clothes. as you may well know.
I remember that.
You did have the option to get some personal salvage from that, right? You were allowed to take however many clothes you wanted.
I'm sure
that you have something. We'll go ahead and roll it and see what happens. And
I've made the luck. I have a 42 out of 45. I'm sorry, out of 50.
So yeah, you totally find one. We'll just say it wasn't part of your collection, but now it can be because Okay. Why not?
Figured it'd be good to not walk in there and go, look at my broken ribs. How are you doing? With a bound up arm,
right?
So at least give some movement in the arm and
we'll just say that the reason why it wasn't part of Dingane's collection beforehand is probably because he didn't think of it until just now, and then he was like, oh, you know what?
Actually, I do need that.
I'm gonna get a coat. I'm gonna go get that big shirt. Yeah, I remember there was one that was big enough for me, and then there you go. It's still there. Nobody's taking it.
And we went and got my handcuffs and put weapons that weren't unneeded for this.
You can stash all the weapons and things you need outside the room before you go in there, so that you can still get to them when you come out, but they're not necessarily easy to see when the door opens.
I thought better of locking my stuff in my room because that's a little further away.
Yes. The one downside is that this is the tunnels. Fortunately, Kate is standing out there. The tunnels are where things seem to go missing a lot. But Kate is standing right outside the door, so she opens the door for you, and she's got the radio control that she's got, which looks like a baby monitor that's been modified. I like the explanation of the earpiece, by the way. Hearing aid that's been modified with a radio. Yes. Okay, so you guys go in. You see this man. He's roughly 6'2". He's a bit muscular, but not tremendously muscular. Maybe a little bit above average. His shirt has been torn, but it was just a t-shirt with a skull imprint on it. He's wearing pants that seem to be fine. They're scuffed a little. There's some dirt on them. His face is a little beat up. But otherwise, he's got a clean-cut face with a nice, strong jawline and blonde hair that's kind of tousled. It's all messed up, but it's short. And he's got these blue eyes that look at you.
Mr. Spartacus, are you aware of why you are here?
Yeah, the door closes around you and he says, no, why don't you tell me?
Dingane walks around and walks around very visibly, as tall as he can get. I walk around and I want to stand behind him against the wall.
So you brought your tree with you.
There have been accusations that you've committed treason against the family, causing people to die.
As we start talking, I circle around him and check to make sure that his hands are tied, and also, as a precaution, snap the handcuffs over his wrists as well. Also, that gives us advantage on interrogation rolls.
Aha! Someone is reading their gear list.
That's why I was like, no, I have handcuffs.
Yes, that tool that was always sitting in the background is now useful. Okay. So you lock him and goes, oh, what's this, sweetie? Scared I'm going to try to kill you?
Just taking precautions.
Well, what he's saying, I apparently would kill you all.
Gunna just kind of lets a little grunt.
We need to know who you were helping.
Circle back to stand near-ish to Chewie, but not next to him.
Who I was helping? That's a pretty good question. Why don't I start at the beginning? I used to help my mom a lot when I was a kid. That was before
she alive?
I went crazy. Oh, she's dead now. No, she was killed off by people. Yeah, people killed her. So then I went about surviving, and then I've been helping out the family for a while.
Who were you helping on the other end of the radio?
What radio? Okay,
the radio that you were sent broadcasting from?
So I think David missed the part where I explained a little bit about how interrogations will work. So he's on the spectrum. So there's an amiability spectrum, and he's on the end of hatred. He's not going to open up to you at all.
I'm not trying to.
Right.
I'm not trying to get him to open up.
Right.
I'm trying to get him to talk. Just communication.
Right.
So
Yeah, no,
I'm not
understand.
expecting answers at this time.
Right. No, I'm just explaining to you. I just realized that you may not know. So at some point you're gonna have to make some charm rolls to get him to start moving onto the side where he'll start telling you things. But he's gonna resist with resolve, and the way to break down resolve is to use the interrogation skill. So that's what it is.
Okay, no, that part I didn't. So
yeah. So
that's part of why the handcuffs.
That's the handcuffs. Yeah. So the interrogation skill is a skill that you have, right? And that's something that people maybe have. But that skill is used to break the resolve. Each degree of success you get on it will essentially break his resolve if you succeeded against his resistance.
So do I roll for these particular questions I'm asking now?
Yeah, yeah. This would be a time when you'd want to roll your interrogation, because that's what you're setting up. You're trying to set it up to that you can break him down later.
And don't forget you have advantage.
Yeah, so roll with advantage.
So I rolled a 29 out of 25, so I failed.
With advantage?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I mean, it got you close.
I could try luck.
You could re-roll.
It depends on if you feel like this is the one that you need to re-roll. We've got time.
yeah, we've got time, so we'll just keep.
The radio where?
Have they been giving?
Oh, I'm good.
Have they given you water or anything to drink since you've been in here?
No. Why would they? I'm apparently a traitor.
Yeah, but we still have to keep you alive. Would you like some of my water? I take a drink out of the canteen before I offer it to him.
No,
and
thanks.
charm?
Oh, you're gonna roll charm? Okay. Go for it.
That's 60 out of 40, so no.
I may have to have his resolve if you guys are so low on your charming, because he's just gonna keep winning. He's gotten a hard success both times. Not if I have his number, then he'll get just a normal success each time. So we'll do that. So we'll drop him down to make this challenge go a little bit easier. Otherwise, we're gonna just be doing this all night.
Dingane, an
We've
idea.
got time, Paul. I'm not doing anything else this night.
An idea springs to mind from some of the horrible atrocities that Dingane had seen some of the warlords do, throughout parts of Africa. And he kind of steps just to the side of him and bends just at the hips and kind of leans down over the side of him, just kind of trying to feel like he's crowding over the top of him, and asks, "Are those handcuffs uncomfortable? Because when I cut off your hands and fill your wrists full of sticks, you will not need them." And I want to try and intimidate.
All right. Seems reasonable to me.
And apologies, that was an actual horrible thing that they would do.
Charlie's eyes legit got wide, oh shit.
We picked the right man to be the mountain.
All right, so I rolled a 47 out of 35, but I want to spend a luck use to re-roll.
Or does he get some advantage on that for some?
Yeah,
Is there
sure. Why not?
Advantage for the handcuffs, though, right?
The handcuffs.
Interrogation.
It's interrogation, not.
Oh, not intimidation.
But you are quite large, and this is a confined space, and that was actually pretty terrifying. So I will give you advantage, because that was pretty damn scary. I over here am going I'm just a game master. This is a game, and I was like, ooh, that's scary. I think I would tell you.
And maybe I'm helping a little bit with my reaction because I'm
right. She believes it. Whoa, slow down, Dingane.
So I rolled a 27 out of 35 with advantage.
Nice. Okay, so you don't have to re-roll. That's great.
Yep,
So
save the luck.
he failed his resolve. He also would have failed had this been.
I'm so sorry.
He would have
Man,
failed.
history is so much more messed up than anything I could have invented.
No, you're okay.
He would have failed had I kept the number the same. By the way, his this was just a really bad roll. All right, so you have knocked him a peg. He is going to drop down toward the more open and neutral side, and that he's like, "Whoa, shit! Get this guy away from me."
Perhaps you can answer their questions. And then
So
he
he's
just
unnerved now, which gives him
leans
disadvantage.
back up and stands there again.
Got it. Great, that's good. So he's unnerved now, which gives him disadvantage for a little bit. So you guys have him unnerved because that was what the.
So, as I was saying, who are you sending the radio message to?
Are you? This is a. Okay, so are we rolling here? Just FYI, just curious to know.
I could roll. This starting a new session of I don't know. Does this start new session interrogation or
No, yeah, we're
after
still
the-
just continuing. Yeah, it's just going to be like a series of rolls.
Oh, I mean
like
dice roll because.
Oh yeah,
because
you
he's
make
not
a new
got
roll.
threatened, can
Yeah.
I-
Yeah.
And I get advantage.
Yep.
No, 35 out of 25. Nope.
You need to get better at your interrogation, my friend.
Dude.
I mean, I wasn't talking to anyone on the radio.
Oh, so you remember the radio now?
What radio?
Oh, did he shake you a little bit, sweetheart?
Dingane kind of just clears his throat in the back.
Look, I don't know what's going on here, but all I know is you guys are coming at me, threatening to cut my hands off over some radio that I guess you found up on the roof or something, and that somehow makes me a bad person.
We never said where the radio was.
So we're just gonna keep staring at each other? So that's the plan.
So, since you know about the radio and you know where it was, I'm sure you know who you were speaking with on it.
Don't know anything about a radio, sweetheart.
Interrogation roll, I guess? So first one was a 20. Second roll was a 1.
Okay, so
Double 0 and a 1. So, yeah.
That's a good roll.
he failed. You succeeded. And not only did you succeed, but you succeeded. That's 4 degrees of success. Right? That's a critical success. You had 4 degrees of success, so you just dropped his resolve down by 20 points.
Yes.
Which is why I put his resolve so high, so we can keep testing this out. I mean, if you're gonna keep pulling crap like that, I may just push it back up. But right now, it's really low. 'Cause you just halved it. Awesome.
I rolled really well. Sorry, not sorry.
This is how it works. All right. So he says, well, I mean, yeah, okay. So you caught me. Okay. Oh wait, his hands are. You caught me. Yeah. All right. So I know there's a radio. What about it?
Who are you talking to?
You assume I was talking to somebody just because I found a radio on the roof and then got pummeled by those thugs, Nate and Jake. Doesn't mean anything.
Would you have wished that your mutants you called in had taken care of them for you? And he
Mutants.
kind of steps around to the end of the table.
Those humpback monsters that I had to kill? Yeah, I don't like those guys any more than you do.
Or at least you wanted it to look that way, didn't you?
That's not what they say in the tents. You know what they say in the tents? They say that you pulled your punches.
Wow. He would have gotten a 5 on his resolve there because you guys are accusing him of something, but he got a 95 instead. Thanks to being at disadvantage for being unnerved because somebody threatened to cut off his hands.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. This is how an interrogation works. What? So you mean like Grandmama, whose life I saved, is telling you that I'm working with those guys that live under? You know, you're all the same. All of you creatures just rolling around, just chewing on everything, munching on everything, destroying everything. You're like insects. You just build a colony and then destroy everything around you, and you don't care what happens in the process.
Can I roll a medicine check to see, like, if he's a people?
Yeah, sure. You can roll medicine to find out if he's a people.
Okay. I got a 40 and my medicine is 75, so just at 1 degree of success.
That's fine. That's enough. He's a people, as far as you can tell. It's got one heart. It's in the right place. It's beating.
Know what else they say about you in the tents?
What?
They said that you hoarded food.
Yeah, well, let me tell you about food. You know why my mom is dead? Because we were locked in the city. We were locked in a city that got quarantined. They thought there was the Z virus there. There wasn't. So we got locked in, and eventually the city ran out of food. You know what happens when the city runs out of food?
Did you keep food from your mother too?
Dude, we're talking about my mother.
But
no,
it will not offend her. I thought she was dead.
I fed her. Are you
Fed her to what? More of your lumped back friends? The ones you helped get into the walls?
I already told you. I hate those guys as much as I hate everyone else.
I'm sure you gave them a hand. We can give them more. And I'd like to make another intimidate roll for that.
Sounds great.
Took a second to register for me.
Give them more. That's funny.
No, 48 out of my 35.
Okay.
I'm going to spend a luck to reroll that. 31 out of 35.
Yes. All right, you succeeded. He failed. He also would have failed. His original number was 80, but even if he was not on that number now, it was dropped. So you're doing great. This is a good test. This is working out well. All right, you succeeded. So, where does that put him?
What city?
All right, that puts him here. I mean, I don't know how I'm making the ruling that the intimidation is pushing him up on the thing to be more open to tell you stuff, but in the way that like he's accidentally telling you stuff. That's the way he's telling you stuff.
Because he's flustered instead of friendly.
Because he's still basically all of the things have been pushing him still more toward the hostile side, but now he's just getting angry. So it's causing some serious reactions, and he's getting like he's maintaining that disadvantage on his rolls to resist.
Anger is clouding the clarity. He's not being able to keep his composure. Stuff
Exactly.
slipping.
Yep. So you said what city?
What city?
The city of shut the hell up and I don't give a fuck.
Dallas?
No, seriously. I don't care about what you have to ask me. You don't need to know about my mom. But I can tell you this. I did not hoard food. Food is being hoarded from us. Yeah. You wonder why the Secret Seven meet in their little meetings in their cabal? Yeah, it's because they're keeping food from the rest of us. That's why we're starving.
Is that why you brought people in here to get rid of them?
Okay, let me explain it to you one last time. I had nothing to do with those mutants below the city. All right? I was surprised as everyone else when they attacked. But it opened my eyes. It opened my eyes to the fact that they must be letting these guys into the camp. How else could they have gotten away with stealing food from us for so many years? I'm guessing one of them is actually one of these underground people. And they're trying to keep their people alive at the expense of the rest of us.
Why didn't you take it to us?
Take it to
Show
who?
us at the city. If you've got proof, show it. If you got speculation, show it.
Have you noticed what you live like? Honestly, all of you just chittering and making noise, just crawling around and being a problem for everyone. You just consume and consume and consume and consume. And then, when you've consumed everything you can, you make babies. And you just make more of you to consume more. Like I said, just a giant ant colony of problems.
Oh, but you aren't one of those.
No?
You don't create problems or consume things.
I keep myself to what I need to survive. I work when I need to work because I'm trying to help everyone out. And you know what I get out of it? I get my neighbors stealing food from me. I get my friends claiming to say that they're my friends, but secretly bringing people into our compound. And that's it. I've got nothing. I get nothing to show for it aside from more pain and suffering.
So speaking of your work, why do you typically work alone?
Because I don't like the people who are stealing stuff from me. That's why. I'll keep people safe as much as I can, but if they're going to take stuff out of my tent when I'm not looking, then why am I even here? Why are any of us here?
Do you keep anything worth taking in your tent?
I have a number of things that I keep that are prized and special to me.
Well, while you're stuck in here, maybe we can go get something for you. What would you like for us to bring you? Charm. And that's a 6 out of 40. So.
Okay. Well, he failed again, so just gonna pump him up. Now you're actually pushing him toward that more amiable side.
I am good cop. So.
You are good cop. All right. Well. All right. So there's a necklace that was my mother's. It should be on my bed. Just sitting on my cot. It's a locket that has a picture of her and my father.
Just on top of the blankets?
Yeah.
We didn't see anything like that when we were there.
You didn't see the locket?
Oh, I was confirming with GM. Not
oh yeah. Yeah.
And your tent is right next to Grandmama's?
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to be real upfront with you right now. We did go and check out your tent before we came to speak with you, and there was nothing in your tent. There was no necklace. It was just cot and tent.
He gets very angry, and you can just see it in his face, and he goes, "They took that too!"
I'm happy to help you look for it, though.
All of you, you're just terrible things. You don't even need to exist anymore if you're just going to consume and steal and take and destroy. All of you. All of you can just be dead for all I care. I now understand entirely why the Central Command Unit is so adamant on destroying you. That's the Central Processing Control. The Council is very clearly on the right track. All of you just need to die.
So if you'll excuse me for a moment, I am going to go see if I can find your locket for you. I'm going to step out of the room and look at Kate.
And I'm going to step outside and real quickly, I'll be right back and say, is the door closed so that he can't hear us?
Yeah.
I don't know much about that, but I say that's robot talk.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm whispering. But yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Kate, do you know anything about his locket?
She just shakes her
Or
head.
a central processing unit or command unit.
Dingane is going to, while they're outside, Dingane is going to walk to the edge of the table and look down.
Which of you has the earpiece?
She didn't give it to any of us.
Oh, well, no, they gave you the earpiece. Camp did at the beginning, so somebody had to be wearing it. So the question is
I'll take it.
Is it
Okay.
So I was gonna ask, is it one of the two of you that are outside? Okay, Dingane, back to you.
Oh.
Yeah. Real quick though, before we do that, you should probably go back in there,
I
Bagcap,
will.
because we don't want to let him calm down too much.
Oh,
Yes.
he won't.
I was like, Dingane is about to do some stuff. It's important.
Yeah, I know.
It's important
But
that we
she
let
doesn't
Dingane
know
have a
that.
moment. Right.
I'm going to count to 10, and then I'll go inside.
Yeah, the guy kind of walks around to the edge of the table, so he's visible, but has him, off to the side, so that Spartacus will have to turn his head to look up at him, and says, "It looks like it is just you and me. You don't have to say a single word. I am not interested in listening to you talk. In fact, I would prefer if you didn't make a sound. That makes it all the more enjoyable." And then he's going to lean in and start reaching for him.
Okay. And Spartacus is going to try to pull away. Obviously not get very far because he's stuck in cherries trying to, get away from Dingane. And right then...
10.
You can come in. Captain.
Okay.
I don't go back in.
No.
Yet.
Chewy. This is what you see. You see Dingane, leaning in to grab him.
Yeah, leaning in, hand reaching for his throat as you come back in.
Can I close the door?
Oh.
Was I interrupting anything?
Oh, come on. Oh, you go back out?
No.
No, I'll stay in for a little bit. So can I make an academics roll, knowing what I know about the situation with the Z virus and what was happening at the beginning, get an idea of what city he might be talking about, maybe from his accent.
Yeah, sure.
9 out of 60.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a Midwest city based on what you can tell. Probably Kansas City. It was one of the cities that was cordoned off. But there were a number of cities that were cordoned off that turned out the Z virus wasn't in them. It was just this outbreak of the flu, but people were panicking. But with everything going on, it sort of got forgotten. A lot of them got forgotten, especially after the nukes started flying and the robots turned on everyone, etc.
Z-Day +3, 7 o'clock. We got a report. Civilians were moving on the west side of Kansas City. There was a belief at this time, we thought that it was transmitted like mad cow disease. There was concern about the meat packing. We thought that it had been shipped out to the country there. I made the call. I called in, and they said to blow them up. And so we blew up the meat packing. We knew we were cutting the food off, but we thought we were saving the country.
If you did nothing to stop Dingane when you came in, I have to go straight for the throat as you're talking. Just grab him by the throat and slide him in the whole chair right back up against the wall.
Meanwhile, you're explaining how it was you that caused everyone to die in the town.
Do you hear what he is saying to you?
So this is
I can't hear you.
So I can hear this through Kate's radio, right?
Now you can hear it, yeah.
All right. Then I go in. I come back into the room.
Bad cop or worse cop being left in a room alone with a guy.
Let go.
Dingane still kind of looks back at her and, or looks back at Charlie, then looks at Spartacus. We will have a conversation again later. And he lets go and steps out of the room. Dingane will step out of the room. And I want to do a very quiet whisper to Kate and ask her, would it be possible if you could bring maybe some of the 7, it does not matter who, anybody you could trust to come down here, to just stand kind of in the hallway, out of sight, and just start whispering and talking about anything they wish, just as long as there is a lot of people talking. We just want the noise and the chatter, as he put it. Would that be possible?
Yeah, I mean, sure. It probably could be possible.
I think it might help right now. And Dingane is going to wait outside for a bit.
Okay. Kate will leave the radio with you, then wander off to not wander off, but go down the tunnel toward where Nate probably would be. And once she gets a hold of him, then she can come back. But they'll take the time. We'll go to the rest of you guys, and then we'll have some people show up to start chattering here in a minute.
I'm going to inspect his neck to make sure that he's not like injured. You know, the whole doctor thing.
Mm-hmm.
So should I roll medicine, or is that just
go for it? At least make it look real.
38 out of 75.
Cool.
So still only 1 degree.
I mean, still. I think Dingane was just sort of causing making it seem like he was going to hurt him. He may have done 1d4's worth of damage, but then you would immediately take that back away with your check there. So he's bruised, but he's not nothing's broken inside tremendously. So he's just kind of coughing. If you offer him the water, he'll take it now.
Yeah, she would just.
I mean, you have to pour it down his face because So he drinks some.
She gently starts pouring some water.
When I get out of here, I'm gonna kill him first.
He might prove to be a challenge.
Yeah, well.
I back away after he finishes sipping on water.
He's a prime example of what I mean by people who just destroy rather than try to help. Dingane hears that over the baby monitor.
Yeah, he's just listening.
I don't know what you want from me. What's done is done.
What is done?
Let's roll charm right now.
Okay.
You're gonna have advantage because you basically came in after Dingane and tried to help.
Yeah.
All right, the rescuer.
So 45 on the first roll and 35 on the second roll, and my charm is 40. So 1 degree of success.
All right, so you guys matched. He's neutral, by the way. This is what's going to happen now. Well, not all of you are bad, obviously. Maybe I made a wrong choice, but I radioed the signal to just out on a wavelength. They're coming. And right then you hear an explosion. And that's what will end the adventure. And that's why your B characters couldn't be part of the fighting of the next adventure. So this will end this adventure, and with everyone where they are. In the room, under the tunnels. An explosion outside.
Oh, man. Was not expecting that.
Real glad
That's
we took our
fantastic.
weapons with us. Well, with us-ish.
Okay.
Yeah. Right outside the door. Man, that was awesome. I am so sorry. I'm telling you right now, Dingane feels absolutely awful about that.
We know he
First chance
does.
she gets, Charlie is just going to give you a really gentle hug. It's okay.
Right? He might break down a
She
little
knows
bit.
you.
He might break down a little bit.
Yeah.
So that worked. I think that went well. You guys did a great job of testing out my my social challenge rules. I did have to drop his resolve down, but that's just a matter of resolve.
Yeah.
But then that successful interrogation, maneuver of dropping his resolve down by 20 points. That was awesome. That was how it should work.
Right. I think it was great. We all kind of focused on a different approach for the whole thing. We had the charm, we had the interrogation, and we just had the intimidating. I think between the three of those, it really
Wear him down.
hammered down. Yeah.
And it gave you all 3 charisma skills there.
Yeah, it did. It was
It
great.
can be done.
Perfect. And also the legwork beforehand was actually brilliant. I hadn't thought that you guys would do legwork. I just sort of was like, oh, I'll go right into it. But then you guys started doing this legwork, and I was like, oh, well, this is great. Fortunately for me, I wrote a bunch of backstory about why he's doing what he's doing and stuff, so they can find evidence along the way, there's nothing in his tent because people keep stealing it, and there's things like that. So, that worked
I had the
perfectly.
hope that because discovered earlier, Chewie had heard just all the noise and the people and the chattering, and Spartacus had mentioned several times about all the chattering. So I had the idea. I'm like, just get a bunch of people out here and just start muttering. Let's fill this place with chatter, and we can all pretend like we don't hear a damn thing.
You're
So I was
crazy.
thinking, like, just another thing to push his buttons and wear him down.
Cool.
But explosion changed all of that.
Right, and like I said, this is why if you're going to be playing in October 13th's game, the character you use today cannot be there because you're downstairs in an interrogation room trying to interrogate somebody when stuff happens.
Oh man!
It's one of those times when I finally linked what's happening in one part of the story to the other part of the story.
Yeah.
It's about time. I promised it, and now I'm delivering. Okay, cool. Well, I guess we'll end here. Thanks for helping out, guys. Thanks for playtesting and testing my my social challenges.
It was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
For something that was supposed to be short and was really just those 3 skills over and over again, I think it actually worked quite well.
Yeah.
And it was good, but it was a non-combat pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you call episode or issue or whatever.
Right.
Encounter or scenario, which is nice to see those once in a while.
Yeah.
And it shows that the system is versatile.
Yes.
So you don't have to be hitting things all the time.
Yeah, you can try to convince people. And this new thing, this amiability spectrum thing that I decided to use, it's come from other places that do similar things, but I was like, this would work great. Like I said, if we're trying to move somebody on one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum, then there'd be like a series of things you'd have to do along the way, and you guys were doing that quite well, so it worked. I'm like, it's great. This is how we turn a hostile into a friendly. Or you just use intimidate to get them to get flustered and get angry and get unnerved and then they just slip up all the time. So this is perfect. So thank you guys. And we'll end now. Whoop, I hit the wrong thing. So we'll go ahead and shut down. So goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Oscar.